No, are you really, really ready?
My finger.
Go.
I don't think he's really ready.
I am ready. Cut it out. Y'all don't think I have this. As I
know. Then do it.
Wait, I'm getting there.
Evidence supports us.
22 episodes.
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a podcast designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. Whatever kind of La Champ, track dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate. We even think you Drifto Hella Flush guys are all right, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of low buck racing, and if you can handle it, Chrissy will give you just the tip. I'll be your pit marshal. My name is Jeff. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
I'm mental.
Yay.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thank you for coming back and listening to another supercalifragilisticexpialidocious podcast. And you wrote that just to try and trip me up, but don't worry, I'm a professional. Welcome to episode 22.
Deuce.
What are you working on? Chrissy, why don't you start us off?
So I've unpacked just about everything. We got home on Monday afternoon, and Chris did a whole lot of laundry, and that was awesome. So we're pretty much unpacked. We have one bag that has a little bit of the stuff left in it. And then we celebrated the second most important day of the year, 2/6, yesterday. It was Chris's birthday. Oh, and DC Doug's birthday. Shout out to DC Doug. Chris's birthday.
We should give DC Doug a shout out, though. But happy birthday, Chris.
Florida Doug.
Happy birthday, Florida Doug. He's California Doug now.
He's California Doug.
He's California Doug. All cool people are born in February. Doug would agree.
And on the 6th. So happy birthday, Chris. And so he got a great birthday present. I have a personal shopper. My personal shopper helped me pick out a great present, and I saved birthday. Chris got a welder.
Not just any welder.
Chris, tell us about your welder.
I think Jeff can tell us about it. He knows more about it than I do at this point. So.
It's a TIG. That's a TIG, not an MIG welder, because someone has a half-built Lotus in their garage. And funny. Someday he wants to get it done.
Yes, it's a Eastwood TIG 200 AC/DC digital. So I'm looking forward to making those pretty stack of nickel welds like the real actual good welders do someday.
That's right. And digital means a couple of different things, but I think the coolest one is you can actually turn the pedal off and turn the trigger on, so that if you're building cages and things, you don't actually have to have a pedal.
So when you're lying upside down in the backseat of a Rolls Royce trying to take all the steps, you can.
Yes. So I was doing a lot of research in this, and I found a bunch of people on like Miller welding, discussion groups, basically saying, "Hey y'all, so I bought this Eastwood thing, and I think I like it better." And then a whole bunch of flaming, like, "No, you suck! You can't do that! You can't do that!" And then the next guy going, "Hey, you know what? I bought one too, and it's better." So I hope it works out.
We're gonna find out. I need to buy a bottle for argon and a table, and then start ruining scrap metal. So
yes, that sounds like a fun project.
First project is not the table.
I'm kind of geeked about that. Go for it. That's my buddy taught himself to TIG weld building exhaust for his NSX, and then he would just turn around and sell them for like $100 to all of his other NSX buddies. They looked like garbage early on, but they sounded cool.
That's probably what I'm going to do, actually, as one of my projects.
Well, the good thing is that we know that Eastwood is not far. It's next town over, and they have classes. So we for a while talked about taking classes. I was going to take MIG, and he was going to take TIG.
And so, YouTube is also a tremendous source of information for this kind of stuff. Like Eastwood has a 40-minute video how to get started with TIG. So I could do that too.
Very nice.
There's a good YouTube series out there called The Fabricator, and he's gotten so successful on YouTube, he started hosting classes at his place out in Las Vegas. And then he started traveling a little bit and teaching classes in like different fans' garages and stuff.
Well, I have to say the big debate in the personal shopping section was, what do we need more, the better TIG or the plasma cutter? And we went back and forth a bunch of times, and I think we rolled the dice on this one, figuring we could add plasma later. You could never
I'll loan
turn
you my plasma cutter. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you could never turn the crappy TIG into the better TIG. So,
And I didn't realize you could just add a plasma cutter. I was just going to buy the whole kit and caboodle. And I didn't, so it's cool. So the other couple things is apparently I've been suffering for some vertigo. I guess I have a head cold or sinus infection or something and then we flew back from Barber. But I've been up last couple nights just like
tired.
spinning. Yeah. My head's spinning like worse than the worst drinking spinning you could ever have. So, pretty bad. And lastly, how about them Eagles? Eagles! That's it. Go ahead, Jeff.
Eagles.
Eagles. Oh, is it my turn?
Eagles.
I'm busy fixing things later. So I love that you unpacked. I didn't. Literally 15 minutes before I logged on, I unzipped my gear bag and pulled out the podcast stuff and started furiously plugging it in. So, that's... I have done no work other than, thanks to Chris, I guess it was his birthday, but he still helped me out, sent me a discount code for do we mention the company there, Chris?
We can.
Do we not say it?
Why
Okay.
not? It's fine. They sent me the discount code. I was happy to get it.
I didn't want to say that, you sent it to me and then I go ahead and bought a 4-liter fire system for the Ombre. So Racers Warehouse, right?
Racer Parts Wholesale.
Racer Parts Wholesale. Thank you.
That's a great company.
Yeah, it's where we bought the last fire system for the Civic, so we bought the exact same one now for the Ombre, so we can be all safe.
We can actually race and stuff.
Yep.
Hashtag they should totally sponsor us.
Totally sponsor us. 6-nozzle, 4-liter system. And I, after the discount code, paid like $333. It's usually right at the 400 mark. So that was pretty cool.
Yay for discounts.
I'd like the earmark. That sounds like a great tech discussion for a later show. So you've got 6 nozzles. Let's talk about where we want them and that kind of stuff in case folks are building these. Because they're required for everybody now, aren't they? I know they're required for AR. I'm pretty sure it's required for WRL.
Lemons not yet require it. They very strongly recommend it in the highest of possible
with underlines and bolds and yes.
Which is usually their code for next year it's going to be mandatory, so just spend the money now, you cheap.
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
I think they already said it was mandatory. It's going to be mandatory, didn't it?
AR is mandatory, WR is mandatory. I think Champ is mandatory. So and honestly, it's like the Hans devices. Just spend the stupid money on safety equipment. Quit being a whiny
It's a good idea.
It is.
No one likes to die in a fire.
There is, exactly. That is actually the worst possible way to die.
But you need a race car, so it would be okay.
So
because then you watch your race car die while you're dying.
I'm just kidding.
That will be a future episode, though, is fire system installation. And no warranties expressed or implied. Do not try this at home. We're not professionals.
You have this big asterisk and you start to show out with this. All right, Jeff.
For informational purposes only.
You have to click here to agree to our
sign.
Yep.
Exactly. So the only other thing that I've been doing is trying to figure out if I can get to the Eagles parade. I am a pretty big Eagles fan. I live not too far from Philadelphia, and all of the trains are sold out. They're telling you can't park and you're going to die if you go. And Bud Light is giving out free beer, so we're all going to die anyway. It's dilly. It's a really bad idea.
Celebration after the Super Bowl, sure, giving Philadelphia Eagles fans beers. Yeah. Fantastic plan.
At 11, starting at before 11?
11, 10 a.m. or something like that.
Well, if you're going to go, you got to go early. And then if you're there, you might as well start drinking. What else are you going to do all day?
I'll say, imagine if they gave them actual beer. Then you'd really be in trouble.
That's true. Well, everyone will stay hydrated. That's good.
The TV is suggesting that if you want to see the parade at 11 and the presentations at 1, you should arrive in the city at 5 a.m. I don't think I'm that dedicated.
Hey, what's the weather tomorrow?
Leave now.
What? Cold.
Cold. How cold?
Freaking cold. I don't know.
Philly
20s.
Philly cold.
No, it's supposed to be in the teens, and it's only supposed to go up to the 20s.
Yeah.
So it's gonna, if you got there at 5 a.m., it's
y'all can
20
keep
degrees.
That,
yeah.
Keep that nonsense.
Just to show you how crazy this part of the country is, many of the public schools have closed, including my son's school, so I
really?
have to figure out what I'm going to do with a 9-year-old all day.
Package.
And all of the colleges in the city have closed, and pretty much the entire region has the bird flu.
I haven't had anybody that works for me call out for yet, but we'll
Really?
see how tomorrow goes.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
they will.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
whole
Georgia.
office is off tomorrow. Like I no
If it's just snowy.
no, everybody's going to the parade.
Closes schools for the Olympics.
Hey, Mental, how many Super Bowls have the Falcons won to try this?
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
We wouldn't close school for it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
you
but you
close
would
school
for like
for a half inch
a
of
flake of snow.
Right?
I'm just saying.
So one of the things they're closing the school super quick, and we can move on. They're closing the schools because a lot of the kids take public transit. If all y'all that are trying to go to the parade are taking public transit, the kids can't get to school.
All right,
and-
I'll accept that. That's actually logical.
My
is.
public school is basically saying they know they're going to have so many call outs from the teachers, and they
There's
know
nobody
that
gonna
none of the
teach.
substitutes are going to be able to be there, that they're concerned they're going to have enough supervision for the kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all crap. Chris, what are you working on?
On
Go
Monday,
Eagles! Oh, go Eagles! Woo!
Eagles.
Okay, fine. I, on Monday, decided to go pick up 27 cases of hardwood flooring that I had ordered from Lowe's and put a 10% coupon on, and I ordered them to be picked up in store just over the border in Delaware because Delaware has no sales tax. And when you're buying that much flooring,
Which is exactly why I go to pick up my tires these days directly from the tire rack.
I think it's a good idea. So
Nice.
when you're buying many thousands of dollars of flooring, this all at 6% adds up nicely. So I did that. Each case of flooring is 86 pounds. Do the math. It's about 2,400 pounds of flooring in the back of the Suburban. They put it in with a forklift, and they just barely got it in because
How good was that forklift operator?
he was pretty good. I've run forklifts in the past, and he was okay. I had to give him a little guidance. He wasn't doing it quite right, but he got it just barely in the back of the sub. And then Chrissy and I spent half an hour team lifting 27 cases of floor in from the sub into the second living room. So that was our workout.
Thanks for mentioning your team lift. I was going to try to see if people thought you carried all 86 pounds.
I am not nearly that buff or cool or stupid.
We kind of do
Two out
It
of
sounds
three,
like something
man.
I would actually do.
Yeah, no.
We didn't hurt ourselves too bad.
No, that's
Very
what I
nice.
do. That and work and, that stuff.
Uh,
Mental, what are
I
you
like.
doing?
So I've been unpacking the RV. By unpacking the RV, I mean I haven't touched it yet. And getting it ready for winter store. We brought in all that food and the rest of the stuff. I'm like, well, it can keep because nothing's going to go bad in there. I actually had to run out there and get
hope
my
not.
headphones about 20 minutes before we started podcasting. But I got to get that thing ready for storage because we got some driveway work. We just got our taxes done, so we'll be spending some of that money now on new garage doors because one of mine shattered the Thursday you guys got down here. So we'll be putting all that back together, and so
You
not
really
much.
do need some driveway work, if I must say.
Oh yeah, no, that's not happening anytime soon. I got to get those trees. I got to get those trees cut down before we do the driveway work. Otherwise, it's all
Because that's what's tearing it up.
Again, yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, so-
I mean, you
Fine.
did you did your due diligence with putting your tape and highlighting it all the issues.
As for the trick or treaters, you know how we do Halloween down here. I don't want any little kids scuffing their knees when
Good deal.
scary zombies are scaring the crap out of them.
Yeah,
That's just me.
You're so thoughtful.
Sure.
It's kind of funnier, kind of.
Okay. So none
right.
of us have done
All
much
right.
in the 2 days we've been home. That's okay.
I've done it plenty. I've just been working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. News and notes. Jeff, you want to start us off?
News and notes. Let's see. So Chrissy covers all the grid girls. Jeff covers everything Elon Musk does. Everybody's seen it. It's not a surprise. SpaceX shot Elon's personal Tesla Roadster into space. Not only did that, but then they landed the booster rockets in synchronicity, like half a mile from each other. The live video is incredible. People were watching it. People were going nuts. They, of course, launched to Space Oddity by David Bowie. The live video looks like the opening scene from the movie Heavy Metal, for those of us that are old
Which I say,
enough.
literally, it's just me and you, Jeff. No
I
one
know,
else.
I
And maybe if
know.
DC Doug listens to this episode, he'll get that reference.
But it was awesome. Everyone in the whole world is talking about it. I just thought I'd throw it out there because Obviously, I have nothing to add. Everybody's seen it. It's pretty awesome. The spaceman, I think they have a name for him, but I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. They have a spacesuit in there, and it looks like a dude driving a Tesla Roadster in orbit. It's totally, I don't want to get an E, but I'll say balls out fantastic.
They overshot Mars with it. Apparently, it's headed past Mars in the asteroid belt because they overshot Mars a little bit. They're calculating now, so...
Did they not have anybody that knew where Mars was?
They did, hopefully. Well, eventually they were trying to send people there, but at the very least, that Tesla's going to be up there for about 1 billion years.
Spacesuit guy was texting, and he missed his exit.
He was unsafe.
He was very unsafe. He was very unsafe.
That's a black marble. Oh.
Actually, they aren't going to Mars yet. This was the first set. So they put him in orbit, and then they're going to do something else later to put him out to Mars.
Okay. Great.
One of the best things I saw in that was it says, I love that this is one of the most technological advanced things that have ever happened, but it ends up looking like a Tim and Eric skit.
And the passenger, the dummy's name is Starman. I had to get
Starman. Yeah,
Lacey
Wrong was the one who tweeted that one.
The infotainment screen says "Don't panic" with the exclamation point for all of us who know why my race cars are all 42. Just everything they did about it was nerdy and more nerdy and more nerdy. And the Jalopnik story used the F word like 37 times. It was like, holy F, they did it. Holy F. It's my reaction also. I'm a space nut. I'm a car guy.
Yeah.
And as you all know, Elon Musk sycophant, I'm following him. I'm joining his church. Whatever you need, I'm there.
Well, why didn't you get a flamethrower?
I don't have that kind of scratch.
They sold out because they all sold out.
I know they sold out. I was actually trying to add one to cart because I was not gonna buy one, but I wanted to see how it would go. And then they were like, "Nah, can't do that."
Hashtag they should totally sponsor us.
Sure,
yeah, absolutely. The Boring Company should totally sponsor us.
No, Tesla should totally. Elon should just write us a check.
Speaking of boring, how about Grid Girls?
What, boring? They're not boring. Okay, so this is so funny that it just like keeps popping up in the news. So last week we talked
for it.
No, I wasn't actually. It just showed up. It's also Jalopnik. That helped me. So less than a week after confirming there's no Grid Girls at the race, Formula One apparently announced that they're going to replace by Grid Kids starting in 2018. Grid Kids are going to be actual children.
Okay.
Not midgets.
What do you mean children?
Not
like I'm confused. Like scantily clad children? Like what are we talking about here?
So Grid Kids are going to be actual.
Whoa! Let's
not
three words that should never be used together ever.
I don't understand. Explain.
Stop it.
We're talking about small children, not adult women that we called Grid Girls. Okay, so they were women and we called them girls. Now we have little kids. So they're going to cater to the young fans. But the whole idea, the Grid Girls were all excited about, they learned about the cars and they were promoting people. So now you have a little child that's what's going to hold a sign, like strap them, have a leash to the car. They're going to not know about what they're talking about.
Like those backpacks that terrible parents use at the mall to keep their kids real.
I'm very excited by this project.
Actually, and that's what I'm thinking. Like you can't tether the kid's arm to the car. And then they just run around and they show anyway, I think it's a dumb idea, but that's what I found out this week about.
Fernando, for Alonso's guy is just like sitting there. He won't even like hold the sign. He's just sitting next to the car crying.
Chucky, come back! Chucky!
I mean, like
no. This is an F1 race. It's going to be Freedom and Dakota and Young and Meadow.
Apple.
So
I just want to mention, like Major League Baseball has a history of bat boys and bat girls. They are little kids who usually are family of the team, or and they get to like hang out at the ballpark with their dads and their uncles. Yeah. I don't know. There's worse ideas out there.
But this is not on a grid with cars and people and stuff.
You're probably right.
They'll learn.
No, it's on a baseball field with foul-mouthed professional athletes, and they're
90-mile-an-hour fastballs
and throwing broken sticks around and scratching their crotch, and then the fans are yelling horrible things.
How do you really feel, Mental?
Oh, seriously. I
right.
thought this was an easy one. It's dumb.
Hey,
We all know Mental's not a fan of the sports ball. Who's up next? Who's got news and notes? Go.
It's me. Just today, SCCA released their Track Night in America schedule.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
There are more than 30 tracks on it this year. There's anywhere from 1 to 7 events per track. For those of you who have not participated, this is basically SCCA giving an easy, cheap, and time-sensitive way for people to get on track. It's not necessarily for everybody. There's no actual instruction, even a novice group. They just kind of put you out there and have some people watching from the various vantage points to see if anyone's doing anything really stupid. But it's basically just an easy way to get on track for $150 for 3 20-minute sessions. What's up, Chrissy?
Can you have passengers?
You can have passengers.
So that's cool. So
Yeah.
we could do it, or you can always find somebody and ask somebody to do some instruction for you.
We absolutely
Yes.
could do it. They just do
And
not set it
I
up
was going
for
to go
you.
with that.
Yeah, they don't set it up
you
for
can't have instruct. You can,
Okay,
it's
one
actually
of
a
you at a
good
time,
way to
Mental.
get instruction.
Mental.
Oh, good
So
instruction.
I've done this before. I've done this in the Mercedes. I took that one day up to Pocono Raceway. I just left work at 1 o'clock and drove up to Pocono and unloaded the car, put my Stroth belts on, and went and drove. And Mercedes at Pocono through the trial, well, that'll hit 140. That was pretty exciting. And
Go, Mental. What were you going to say?
No, that was it. I was talking about you can have instructors. You just have to go find your instructor.
Yep, they're not going to
Yeah.
provide it for you. It's a low structured environment basically for what they're doing. It's essentially you pick your grid group, you go out there and go for it and have a nice time and don't be a jerk. And they're really just trying to make it a low key event. Yeah, Jeff.
And if I remember this correctly, they're all weeknights, right?
They are all weeknights, exactly. And so that's the point, is they're trying to make it a low time commitment too. So you don't have to take a whole day off. You don't have to go somewhere for a whole weekend. You can just go on an afternoon and enjoy the afternoon and have a nice time on track. So
There you go.
Chrissy.
Any tracks that you would request or suggest?
Well, locally,
Rather?
they have 6 different events at Pocono and 6 different events in New Jersey. They essentially have one a month, April through September.
Cool.
So there's plenty there, and other good. I wasn't looking too carefully, but I noticed Palmer in Massachusetts and Thompson and plenty of other tracks that we run. Mental, what's up?
So, in addition to that, New Jersey Motorsports Park is on that list.
Didn't I just say that?
Both.
He said that. He just.
Oh, sorry. I thought I heard Palmer and the Pocono.
That was a
Mental
fun
puts
New
his-
answer.
Jersey.
Mental
So-
puts his hands up and forgets what he's listening to.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and his hand is still up.
It's hard to put your hand up and listen at the same time.
Mental,
Okay.
go on.
Well-
Talk about
No. We're done.
Okay.
You have.
That's all I had. The schedule's out. It's a nice way to take out. It's really not meant for hardcore race cars. It's not meant for anyone with a race license in a numbered caged car. It's more meant for the more casual enthusiast. So, hey, take your fun car, go out, have some fun on track with it.
Nice. Mental, I think you're going to tell us about Champ Car, right?
So while we were down in Barber having a great time, which we will talk about later, the boys in Champ Car were up running the 14 hours of Chump at Road Atlanta, and then they'll swap again in December when they're at Barber and we're at Road Atlanta. Just going to give a shout out to the winners out there. Number 1 was the Huggins Pinkies Out. Number 2 was Out Van Wyden Racing, and number 3 was Team Jackie X, which is actually interesting because they run a pair of 3000 GTs. Well, both of them painted up. One painted up in Gulf Racing livery, and the other in Martini livery. I don't know which one finished because the other one blew up. It was down at the bottom. The
Wait,
Hong
Mitsubishi blew up? No way.
I know, hard to believe.
Are these like twin turbo all-wheel drive Mitsubishi 3000 GTs?
I think they're just the standard because they're not. I mean, they're well driven and the team's well run, but they're not like blazingly fast.
Yeah.
So they win just through good pit management and I guess keeping the cars on the track. But of note to most of us is the Hong Nor Grumpy Butt Supra finished 11th. And then my friend John Artman, who runs a single cam Neon, I ran with him this past fall at Virginia National. He finished 53rd.
Do we know what kind of car counts they get there?
About the same. I think they had 90 signed up, about 84 started.
That's good. Good number. Awesome. So we've been talking a lot about racing, so I want to talk about something that you can jump into. Extreme Experience puts you in the driver's seat of some of the world's best supercars, and they help us sponsor our show. So at over 20 race tracks coast to coast with no speed limits, no shifting restrictions, and no governors, you can drive a supercar. Head to xxspeed.com to choose your supercar. Find a racetrack near you and start making a story of your own. 7 models of exotic supercars to choose from, 20-plus tracks at a year-round location in New Orleans with a 3,200-foot straightaway. Holy cow, Mental, really?
They meant it for it to be a drag strip, but they couldn't get approval from the city council. So
they made it a road course?
Well, it was going to be a road course. They were going to have a multi-use facility, and the local city wouldn't let them have a drag strip because they said it's too noisy, but they'll let them have the road course. So, yeah.
Wow,
straight
fantastic. So if you go to an Extreme Experience event, you'll get a pro instructor, Chris, Mental, myself, in the car with you, helping you explore the car's limits and learn how to drive the racing line. This is the most important part of the announcement. You can save 25% when you use the code EveryoneRacers, that's EveryoneRacers, no space, at xxspeed.com to book to get today. Extreme Experience, it's your turn. Awesome. So glad to have them with us.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And who else we're glad to have listening and with us? Chrissy's mom.
Chrissy's mom.
And Dad.
I was literally like, where's he going with this?
And Jen. Let's be nice. Let's give Jen some props.
Oh, we saw them last night. She was really happy that you gave her a shout out.
Rocking the sign on the live Facebook.
Pretty much. So we have a ton of listener feedback because we were at the race and we saw a whole lot of people that kind of called us out and recognized us and that kind of stuff. So I am going to start with a conversation that I had with Steve C. From the GT Yo Man camp. And he was present during...
Yo Man.
My name is GT Yo Man.
So he drives the super exclamation
point. Beetle.
So they were present during the taping, as you heard. I'm sure. But he was the quiet. Steve is the quiet one. So basically, he was hanging out in the back, and he was really impressed at how we pulled off our podcast because he was watching it. He said he had not witnessed a podcast in action and didn't realize all the stuff that went into it. So I showed him how we work and all of the notes that we take and how we give cues to each other, and he was really impressed. So he thought it was going to be chaotic, but it ended up working out pretty well. So I want to say that thanks to him for coming by. Hopefully they're listeners. And then there's a shout out to Jen and my mom and dad who enjoyed the show because we saw them last night and they were all saying how great it was. They were quoting us of things that I didn't remember.
Oh, that can't go well.
And then they're also trying to get Jen's fiance, Len, to start listening. So hopefully we'll have a new listener soon.
Len, come on, buddy. We're just,
He just is not a podcaster. And
he's got a lot of windshield time. He's the one person that could really listen to some podcasts. So.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, I had some
everyone
feedback.
can be a racer.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Chris.
I had some feedback from our special guest last episode, Craigers. Craigers said, "Is it weird to give listener feedback when I was on the show giving listener feedback?" No, it's not.
No,
here we
not
go.
At all.
So he said, sitting in the RV and experiencing live, I figured the published podcast was going to be an S show. Other than Hamza and Johan screwing up the XX stuff, it sounds much better than I expected. I'm impressed with the organization and ability to keep the show moving along, well, even with a bunch of insanity going on. Oddly enough, Mental's contributions seem much better balanced than in earlier shows, even though he got all the constructive feedback.
That's not what it says.
And lastly, I hate the sound of my own voice. So, Craigers, thanks for your feedback. Thanks for joining us. We're great to have you. And
keep listening.
Keep listening. Thank you, sir.
And your voice sounds fine.
No. Nobody likes the sound of their voice. I've been listening to it for 20 plus years and I still hate it. Mental, I know you got something. Go.
So Owen O'Malley, because we've been saying for a while that we have 5s of listeners, and Owen O'Malley has, I hereby claim the title of listener number 10. Owen, it's yours. You get it, buddy.
You can have it.
It was great to meet you guys. I hope you make it out to the Midwest and get a chance to hang out with the usual suspects. We always need more people to eat our food, which that's a great way to get us to come to your race. We're like feral cats. If you feed us, we'll keep coming around even when you want us gone. And then also Chuck, one of the Inglorious Bastards that I was running with, he actually sent me several texts. Hey, when's that show going to be up? Hey, when's that show going to be up? So as soon as you guys got internet, put it on there. I texted it to him, and I texted him the pre-race Barber show. So he came and he said, we enjoyed the one you sent last night, which was the pre-Barber episode. You guys seemed to gel. It tickled me to see how happy it made Jerry when you were bragging on the bird. He was grinning from ear to ear. And yeah, I still love that car, even though it finished. We started in 84th and finished in 83rd.
We'll get away. We didn't get there yet.
It's all good.
I have listener feedback too. I gave my live listener feedback at the Barber show, so I'm going to go one. Are you ready for this? Directly from iTunes. 5 stars.
What?
So we owe this guy a sticker.
Absolutely.
That Greg, I have no idea who that Greg is.
Well,
he
if he's
says,
listening, contact us so we can send him a sticker.
absolutely.
I know who that Greg is.
That's what I'm thinking it is. Pros, good info, great stories, different perspectives. Cons, further enables our life-consuming racing hobby / obsession.
Fantastic.
I love Greg. Greg
5
is my
stars.
brother. I love that guy.
Awesome sauce.
So,
Oh.
does that wrap us up? Or we?
Yeah, main
Yeah.
topic
Thanks for
time.
now. I feel like
Main
we
topic.
probably had some more, but that we.
Oh,
will,
yeah, no. Well, do we want to check the Facebook page? Or are we feeling it?
no,
Yeah,
we'll do
we're
it
good.
later.
We've got
That's
other
what we
weeks.
found.
So let's start the main topic. Chrissy, this is our post-race for Barber. Tell us about how Barber went for you after we last heard from you.
Sure. So we found on my Facebook, I got a whole bunch of memories that said that we were here 3 years ago. I thought it was 2. It was actually 3 years ago with the Donson truck, and that was just a sad mess. So this weekend, anything but. We had just a fantastic time. So Hamza, car builder, he preps and builds just an awesome car. So Friday and Saturday we had some wonky brakes, which Chris can talk about a little bit more. They weren't confidence inspiring, but they worked every time, so that was good. It's nice to be able to have brakes that work. I had a great testing session with Chris on Friday. I'm glad that I got time to myself, figured out where the track was, and then I got Chris in the car and I was dropping my times and he was telling me all the gas, and we had a mantra through one of the sections in the truck one of the sections on the track that was half gas, half throttle, full throttle, and we just kept saying it to each other all weekend. So that was good.
That was through the high-speed S's.
The kink in the back.
Yep, high-speed, half
Yep,
throttle through the
yep,
first one,
yep.
full throttle through the second one.
Yeah. Did the same thing in the Bird.
Except for wet in Bert will basically spin you out of that mesh. It's more like quarter,
Welded diff.
half. Yeah. In the wet, that is.
And I guess I'm sure Hamza, he drove in the wet on Sunday. I'm sure he didn't do that on Sunday in the wet. But it was great. So thank you, Chris, for some instruction. It was very, very helpful. So Saturday I went in third. It was third in the car. I'm pretty sure this is correct. So I got in and I was in either third or fourth. Got it up to second. I was in there for an hour and a half. I think I got out and driver switched and it came in, and whoever was after me got it fourth. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
Third. Whatever. Third or fourth. So then Sunday I was the third driver in. Still a little bit wet. There was one turn that I was really hesitant on, and that just slowed everything down. So I really should have downshifted, and that was a shame. So that was
it was the last place where they had that running water across the track.
Yeah.
And
it was slippy. Yeah, it was slippy, and so I slowed down, and then it slowed me down for the rest of that turn. And then getting on the straight, it was just
you're
slow.
going up a hill. Exactly.
Yeah.
For those of you not from Eastern Pennsylvania, slippy means slippery.
I thought that was more of a Chrissyism, but
No.
slippery.
That's
Anyway, okay, a while. You mean get you a drink a while? Anyway, that's
Berks County.
I know.
Berks County, yeah.
Well, a little technical help on that corner for people that know Barber. This is the mini bowl, the second set of S's right before the sweeper where pit in is, as you're growing up over the bridge or the.
I like Jeff's dance.
Yep. So that turn when it's wet, what I found actually worked is to come in for a super late apex, but hang my right 2 wheels up on the grooved or the brushed concrete up above the curb, kind of.
Yep.
And
I was doing that a lot.
tires up there, it got a lot more grip. I could grab down to third gear and power out of that up over the hill.
That's all the stuff that I was missing. I did not shift.
Yeah, and now I was coming into it in a much heavier car with, I think, either the same amount or a little less tires, certainly not as grippy of tires. And what I was just doing was using the lack of traction to an advantage. I'd kind of bring in the car crabbing, hit that running water, it would just slide, and you would just do a four-wheel drift, maintaining your forward momentum, and then right to the top of that hill. And then I could keep the engine wound up and then go through that the back bowl at high speed and then set it up onto the main straightaway.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that. At all.
Yeah.
I was just slowing down to try to make it through.
I ain't doing that at all.
No.
Yeah, and if we're all talking about that turn, I'll tell you that I was out in the second shift, so I had the same kind of wetness location. And my trouble actually when the road goes down into the bowl is where the boost would kick in for Bert. So it would basically not slide there. It would slide 30, 40 feet later, like after the little hill. So it was
that right onto the little mini
exactly
straight.
as you were going into the bowl, like actually right on the straight, and it would just try and drift out, which it was maintainable, so no big deal. But it slowed
Depending
me
on
from
how many
putting
cars were around.
Yeah. I couldn't put the throttle down until I was past that.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's really why I think my times were down. I slowed down, and then that slowed me down for the rest of the long straight. And I should have downshift, and I didn't. I did it a couple times, and I was not really figuring out where to upshift again. So I stopped it, and then I was just lugging. So I learned, and next time. So I'll finish quick. I had a fantastic time. We had lots of laughs. I swear we just laughed the whole time. It was really cold at night, but we just had such a good time. So I'm done. That's me.
No, I wanted to mention, Chrissy, don't go because I have questions about your shift. First, did you like the dance that I was doing for you as you were trying to pit in?
So I didn't notice the dance as much.
Oh my!
No, but
what did I do it for if you didn't notice?
But John,
Your
hopefully one
own
of our
satisfaction and the few dollar bills that you got stuffed in your undies.
He was on pit lane. He couldn't accept.
Most people don't
on
carry
pit lane.
cash on pit lane.
No, you're not, and you don't have where to stick it.
But people
anyway.
who like Just Dance do.
Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't know you. Oh, hold on. So I didn't know that you danced until John just posted it to the Facebook. He did the whole pit stop. So like from before you started dancing till we were pushed the car off. And your dance was fantastic.
I thought it was fantastic.
Where is this dance on Facebook, and why am I just hearing of this now?
I don't know. I'll tag you. Maybe you weren't tagged.
It needs to be on the Facebook page. It needs to be on the Everyone Racers Facebook.
Okay.
We'll put it on there.
Great. So I started off in Hamza's car on Saturday. It was the first driver out, and I haven't had a starting shift in a very long time because
it's usually my job.
Because I can tell somebody else to do it, and I take a better shift. So
Steve, the dishwashing fairy, wasn't there.
Because that's a perfect shift for Steve because he's conservative and clean, and it's wonderful. So anyway, I started off when I first started in a long time, and brought the car in seventh about an hour and 45 minutes later, just starting to fuel starve, so it was good timing. And then I was surprised. It was a fairly clean morning session. I mean, some morning sessions are just a hot train wreck with cars blowing up immediately, lots of crashes, lots of aggro driving, and this was not bad. I really thought it was okay. Closest call I had was with the Orange Beetle. It's a big surprise. It spun as we were coming out of the bowl at the top. It was a car and a half in front of me, and it came around fast and almost collected me. It was one of those moments. Everything slowed down, and I'm doing my best to get around it, and I'm already creating a story in my mind to tell Hamza and say, "I'm sorry, I crashed your car." But I think if the video had been working and we hadn't put a already full 16 gig card in the GoPro in the morning,
we missed all the good footage on Saturday.
That would have been quite a video, and I'm sad we missed it. So I brought the car in seventh place when I got out of the car. That was nice. Sunday I closed the shift for us. Got the car in ninth place, and by the end of the race we had brought it up to seventh. One of those because Tetanus's 240 SX crashed in the wall, and so it wasn't that bad, but it took them out of the running. And then I had a pass for position on another car, so that was
which
good.
was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was in the last I don't know.
It's like 30 minutes.
Last 10 laps.
Yeah, I guess
probably
10 minutes. Yeah.
It
was amazing.
I'd been chasing them down all shift, so it was really
and all of a sudden we realized that you could see them.
Yeah, that was pretty
exciting.
That was exciting. And then the brake issue that we had, we solved it. Well, here was what it was. It's an interesting thing to note for if you ever have similar issues where it seemed the pad was getting walked back somewhere. So what we found is the left rear brake, the spring on the caliper, was put on incorrectly. The tabs were behind the bracket instead of on the front of it, and that was torquing the spring, which was pulling the caliper. So when you were not having brake pressure on it, the spring was pulling the caliper, which is compressing the piston. So we had walk back, and every time you step on the brake, you'd have to reseat that pad, which meant the circuit that has a left rear and right front brake on it was not actually doing anything until it got there. So the left front and right rear were getting overworked, and that was causing problems. So that's the simple solution.
Go ahead, Bethel.
Well, and we've talked about walk back before, and it's always the same identification process, which is if you're hitting your brake pedal twice, because you talked about Bruce had that problem in the Thunder Midget, and then you also had that problem with the Honda one time. Different causes, but if you're driving your race car or even your street car, I guess for that matter, and you're hitting the brakes and having to hit them again, you've got pad walk back. You need to pull it into the pits and you need to find out the cause. Don't race through it, because then one of us ends up getting collected by you when it locks up.
It's one of those things where if it's consistently that way, or like the way the Civic used to be was consistently inconsistent. In certain corners, it would do it every single time. And that's when it had enough time for the wheel bearing to loosen up to shake the rotor to walk the pad back. So if it's not air in the lines, it's something else, and there's always a solution. You just got to figure out what it is. So in this case, it was an easy solution. Took no time to fix.
And 70% of the time, it works 100%, right?
Totally.
So, it's cool.
Yeah. Mental, how about you?
So our weekend, as we talked about Saturday, did not work out well. We started out in 79th. And then I actually got it up to a sub 20 before we had a fuel starvation issue. We thought it might be that actually just running loose. While we were running down another fuel pump, we went ahead and sanity checked everything else on the fuel system, even stuck my hand down into the fuel cell, and wasn't that the problem. So we replaced the fuel pump on it and got it back out in time. And I'm not going to rehash all our suspension issues. Sunday morning, we did get it out before the Jesus hour. It was wet and rainy, and nobody else wanted to drive. So we sent Mark out. He did a good job, kept it pointed the right way. Then we brought it back in, shut her down for the Jesus hour, torqued down everything, did an alignment. Thank you, Chris, for helping us walk us through that. Got all the toe ends set for it. It got really, really nice. And then we had a guest driver who wanted to stop by. He was trying to mooch one of your seats again.
Yeah.
But then we put Randy Post in it, and Randy goes out there, does his first lap, and he tied my best time. Then his next lap was a second faster. His next lap was 2 seconds faster. His next lap was 3 seconds faster. Then he took a break for 3 laps and knocked 4 seconds off my best time.
Yeah, Randy Pope's already took 1 seat from me that race, and then he wanted to run the BMW, and I said, no, you already took 1 seat from me, you're not taking this one. So then he drove the Thunderbird. So.
Yes, and we've got a great video. It's over on, actually, I think we put it on the E1R page, and it's on Facebook. So he got out of the car, and he goes, it's got some loose steering. It's a fun car. It's a little bit of wiggle in there, but it was actually just awesome to watch him drive that car, because you do steer that one with the throttle. And I'm with you, Chrissy. It was just across the board a fantastic weekend, just a great start to the season. I remember we were kind of bummed because Friday night we're walking around and nobody was doing anything stupid. So we ended up hanging out with the Toyota guys, which was great because they had beer, really good beer, all kinds of really good beer. We met Colt. The new mascot for the Barber.
Much of that beer was brought to you by Duff Beer Racing, who had brewed some of the most delicious amber I've had in a long time. So thank you to Duff Beer for continuing to bring free beer for everyone.
Hashtag you kind of already do sponsor us, because we drink a lot of your stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But even though we spent a lot of the weekend underneath the car and wrenching, and we had that show, but I felt like Sunday morning, I felt like I'd gotten an ab workout because my stomach was hurting so much from all the laughing.
No, that was the bread heels and grease.
Liquor ball sandwiches. So
liquor ball sandwiches. How many times do I have to say it?
Had one.
We finished 83rd out of 90 cars, but it was just still a great weekend. Little bit of a bizarro world at the award ceremony when Sagi took a class win and the judge's choice, and we spent the whole weekend wrenching on our car and feet. So that was just that's not supposed to happen. That I haven't missed this race since 2014, and it usually just kind of sets the tone for my year. Say, for example, the Datsun truck 2004, back in 2015. But it's just great catching up. We got to see Tetanus Racing. We got to see the GD Yo-Man. We just got to see all of our buddies. And a big special shout out to John Heflin, who, when I knew I was going to have some downtime, helped me actually change the oil on my Mercedes and then showed me a couple of tricks.
In the wet.
It needed to get done, and I wasn't going to have time this week, and I didn't have time last week, so it worked out really, really well.
Wait, you got John Heflin to wrench on your daily?
No, I got John Heflin to sit there and go, don't do that. No.
And then he taught you that you could push your hood up even further into service mode.
Showed me how to save the battery light in my trunk. Showed me one of the things that I was doing wrong with the oil filter, because it's a very peculiar incident, and it was just a fountain of knowledge that guy was. And just a great dude, really helpful.
And
Glad to have him.
Very nice, helpful guy.
Yeah, I definitely never hung out with him before. He was top notch.
Absolutely.
He really, and welcome anytime. So he's fantastic. And again, everyone else we saw, the Apocalyptic guys, Sputnik, the Tatas, the Bastards, Soggy, Steve, Eric, blah, 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 blah. We just keep going and on and on. It's like a family reunion, and I look forward to it every year.
Absolutely. I'm surprised no one mentioned, because I don't think we mentioned it. I did listen to the actual live show today, and we somehow missed that Sputnik, since he's no longer allowed to cut off a roof, added roof to his car. I thought it was a great. Anybody know what the heck that thing was? I'm not even sure what it was.
That's their Sentra.
It's a Mexican.
I think you weren't around. Like you were staying with Bert. We spent a lot of time.
That's
with
the same Sentra that Sputnik's been running for years. And
it is.
Yeah. Except
he's a Nissan genius.
Right. So it's the same car they've been running for years, and so Sasha's like, all right, I can't cut any roofs off. I will add the roof. So
They got a kick out of it.
I got a kick out of it. 30% more roof. He painted it right on the roof. Now with 30% more roof.
As soon as Phil saw it, we heard Phil walk up to him and say, "Sasha, this is so wonderful. For a change, you've added a roof to your car."
I actually saw him walking around with a Sawzall on Sunday. I think he was actually sawing something off of his daily driver. I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
And
he came over to our pits to do it with a hand hacksaw, and was holding it on a pair of unmounted tires. And just hacking back and forth.
I screamed across the paddock, "Sasha, put that down! Do not go near a car with that saw."
I am making cars.
Oh, la, 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 la.
All right, Jeff, tell us about your experience.
Okay, so we all know what happened Saturday. We all heard about that. I'm going to not rehash that. If you want to hear that, go listen to the other show. But I wanted to mention that we put on remind everyone that we put on the organic brakes from Duralast.
Made of wood.
They were made out of wood and leaves and things. And
you can eat them and get fiber.
Exactly. It was raining. It was very rainy when we all started, and we already mentioned that. But Jason went out there, and he did a good job, and he came back, and he was like, "Jeff, you have to be next." During Jesus Hour, it was like, "I don't trust any of those fools. Jeff, you got to take it out next." It does have a welded diff. We did mention that it was a bit of a handful, and so he basically said, "I'm threshold braking, and it's still not slowing down enough." And he really just was like freaking out a little because he was really concerned about the brakes. After the Jesus Hour, I stomped on the brakes pretty hard while I was warming up my laps, and the rears locked, and I put a twist or two into the brake controller and did it again, and the rears locked, then put a twist or two in the brake controller, and then all of a sudden all four wheels started working, and did another twist or so, and then it was great, and I had great brakes the whole time. Woo. It was still a handling nightmare in the wet, as we already mentioned. So Jason went out. It was 20-something when he started. He brought it back at 19th. He gave it to me. I put it on 17th. The two other guys went out with no incident. We ended the race in 15th, and really, it's probably where the car belongs. Done. Sure, we could have put on a Superman cape and maybe cracked the top 10, but I mean, it wasn't going to happen. Even without the black flags, I think we would have been in the teens.
Okay.
Go, man.
I would say, like, by Sunday, the teams that were still running by Sunday were running well. They've been running well all weekend. And it was going to be really hard to start making dramatic changes in your place without somebody wadding something up. And again, I go back to Randy frigging Post got in the Thunderbird and could only get it from 84th to 83rd. So you're not going to see a lot of changes that into the race, especially the way this series has matured. People are starting to figure out how to make those things last all weekend.
Yeah, when I'm looking at the best times of everything between 15 and 7, because that's the picture I took on my phone, pretty much everything was best time 154, 156, 153, 154, 155, 155, 151. So, like, we weren't going to make up a lot of time with our 154 best time. So, it's where we were. We probably we're right where we deserve to be.
Okay. Then what happened after that, Jeff?
Well, the reason I brushed so quickly over the race results is because we had a heck of a time finding a place to watch the Super Bowl after the race. Presentations went on. We already mentioned that Soggy won a couple of things. We at 5:30 is when trophies started, which
Central
according
time.
Central Time. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
It was the exact
at
time.
kickoff, basically.
At kickoff of the big Super Bowl that Chrissy and I really wanted to see, Chris wanted to see, and Mental didn't care to see. But Mental had already done his research and found a place. What the heck was the name of that first place? Jefferson's.
And
It was
Oxnard.
about in Oxnard. It was
Oxford.
Yeah, Oxford. It was like 40 minutes away. We got in, we fought the traffic. We jumped into cars. We went. It was great. We got there. The parking lot was half empty. We can see the giant TVs from the parking lot. And we went in, and someone tell them what the server said.
This delightful little blonde girl sees that Chris is wearing his Patriots jersey and goes, well, now, before y'all get settled in, I just got to tell you, this is Oxford, Alabama, and we are a dry county on Sunday. But we got all the sweet tea y'all could possibly drink. And Chris turns to her and says, thank you so much. And you couldn't have gotten him to that door faster if you'd lit him on fire. And he caught you two guys as you were coming in going, can't drink, we're leaving.
Yeah, so I was walking in, and all of a sudden it was like, Dry County, let's go. We jumped back in the cars. We got back on the highway, and Chrissy, I will not mention, but one of us, or both of us, no, just one of us, I won't say which one, was madly looking on their phone for alternate places to go. I guarantee it wasn't Mental. He would never touch his phone while he drives. But it was Mental.
Don't tell me that.
It's not like Mental was going in the right lane at 60 miles an hour either.
No.
He was going a number higher than that. That we shall not disclose, right?
I believe I mentioned this term before. Mental was mad-assing the RV down the highway, trying to find. He's like screaming into his iPhone, "Sports bar! Find a sports bar near me."
And then we went through the forest.
And then we went to the forest. Went through the
then there was
over the river and through the woods.
Nothing.
Then we hit like the Georgia line, and it was like
nothing.
Still nothing for a while. And then we went to Carrollton, Georgia, which is
College Town.
It's got to be. I'm on my phone at this point. I'm on Mental's phone. I found a place. It was like 4.5 stars on Yelp. Guy had said that he was there for the January 6th games.
Yeah.
Championship games. I was like, he said lots of TVs, plenty of room. We drove there, and it was dark, and the parking lot was
nice
empty.
Building. Yeah.
It said your destination's on your right, and we were like, what? Okay, so then
there was like 3 other bars in town, and each one of them closed at 2 p.m. like on a Sunday. So clearly there was some sort of blue law in that town also.
And clearly we just said, I want a TV, I want some beer. That's all.
So it was like Wolf's Den,
some food.
something else, and something else. All 3 of them closed at 2 o'clock.
Be careful what you ask for, because
right. Jeff explained this.
So then we found another. Chrissy was in the Mercedes. She's like on her phone saying, any bar with food. She calls a place to confirm that they're open. And I mean, do you want to rehash the conversation? They just said they were open, right?
Yeah, I said, are you open? Yes. Do you have the game on? Yes. Okay, great. We'll be over soon.
So we drove to this bar that was a square block building made out of cinder blocks with 0 windows. This is the kind of bar that in an urban environment is a good place to catch a knife from the outside. Mental says, we better be careful. And I'm like, what are you, crazy?
Because there was no place to park the RV. So Chris and I dropping people off and trying to find a place to park. So we leave you and Chrissy.
So Chrissy and I go in, and I will mention that Jeff is pretty confident in an urban environment. He has lived in Paterson, New Jersey, many other places. And I bust open to this bar, and everyone there is 50.
Or more.
The guy starts metal detecting me. The bar
there's a cover.
There's a $5 cover. I asked the woman if they have food to make sure that the kitchen is open, and she's wearing like one of those like flu masks.
So she asked you like 8 times.
She asked like 8 times, like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And it was like the scene in the movie where the record needle like drops off. And like the whole bar stares at us. And I'm like sitting there going, well, you know what? I could handle this.
Oh,
And
I was. I
and-
ran out the door.
And I looked back and I was like, yeah, yeah, we can't go. So I asked her, do you have any food? And she says, yeah, we can make some chicken wings. And I'm like, well, that's not acceptable. I said,
No.
we're trying to park our RV. We'll be right back. Chrissy and I bolted out of that place so fast. And it
Caught me on the street walking back. Get in the truck.
Would turn around,
Get in the truck.
turn around.
Get in the truck. And again, I didn't even see the game on the TV. The hip hop music was pumping, which again, if I was looking to dance and have a good time, I could probably go there. Definitely was not a place that all four of us are going to pile in and watch the Super Bowl.
No.
So we went to Mental had already parked the RV at a local fuel stop, Quickie Mart. I don't know. We asked the guy, like, okay, we need anything.
What?
Buffalo Wild Wings, Applebee's, Fridays, just anything like that where they have food and a TV.
And we're not going to get knifed.
And we're not
And
going to
he
catch a
goes,
knife.
You must drive down the street. The second stoplight, take a right. There are restaurants there.
Great. He led us to
And we
victory.
did it exactly like you said, but initially it was like a rail yard. We're driving under a rail yard. I'm like, that friggin' guy, dear God, man. But yeah, there we go on the main drag, and it's franchise central.
Yeah.
All right.
So we definitely found civilization at that point, which was great. I don't know if we changed town line or state line or county line, but whatever it is, they had TVs, they had alcohol, they brought us some beer,
They had Gavin.
Eagles blood. Woo!
and then the
they had-
Eagles won.
They had Gavin. Gavin was madly supportive. He was awesome. Gavin at the Applebee's in Carrollton, Georgia. And what was the name of the Eagles fan behind the bar, Chrissy?
I don't
I don't
know.
know. Anyway, the whole
I don't
staff
know.
at the
I don't know.
Applebee's in Carrollton, Georgia rocks. They were taking care of business. They were on
They
target.
were doing a great. That was definitely the best Applebee's I've been to. I know that's faint praise, but I'll definitely say it was the best Applebee's I've ever been to.
High-end customer service. It was great.
It really was great. Gavin did a great job. Took good care of us.
All right, so we're hovering at 56 minutes, which gives us just enough time for your favorite segment and mine. Just
Okay, so we've been doing some racing in the cold, and we want to talk about how to do this safely, because that seems like a good idea. So, and we did this weekend, and we might be, and I'm sure everybody else has a possibility of doing some, especially at night, but sometimes it's cold all during the day. So make sure that you are doing safe things when you get into your race car. So we're talking about what to wear under your gear. Wink, wink, Mr. Wakeman.
I hear you.
I know.
If you
So-
don't have one of the old bed quilt style fire suits.
Right. Right. These are the kind of times where it's a good idea. But so I did a little bit of research, and none of us do this, or actually Mental, maybe you do. But investing in fire resistant underwear, we don't do that, and maybe we probably should. But there's brands that are better than others. Some of them are pretty thin, and they won't add much bulk, but they'll keep you warm. So something that we might want to consider. We don't do that currently. So
especially for the cold weather races, perhaps. Like I know Mental wears the fireproof underwear because he has a one-layer suit, so he has to. But where we have our fancy Nomex ones, we usually don't because usually it's so damn hot. So, Mental.
go ahead.
And if in the absence of that, do not wear any synthetics. A lot of people in the summertime, or they want to start wearing the polypropylene or your compression clothing, even not exposed to fire, just to extreme heat, saying getting out of a flaming race car, it will melt to your skin before your fire suit even starts doing its job. Big deal coming from an aviation environment. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Chrissy. Please continue. But wear cotton, 100% cotton.
You see what's next on her list there?
Gosh, you guys just read the darn notes. Nomex head sock. I know Jeff wears all of these. It's not just to capture sweat, but it actually will hold some heat in, which is a good thing, and it should fit well enough in between your hair and your helmet. And making sure that if you're going to wear a shirt, make sure it's cotton, no logos. This weekend we wore long sleeve shirts. I borrowed one of Chris's, but a nice warm cotton long sleeve shirt actually did just enough when it was chilly outside, so that's kind of nice. So here's the biggest thing. So we had a race when we raced at Atlanta, and we were really concerned about our hands being warm. we were talking. So Jeff wore nitrile gloves, and this is where I kind of opened this up for discussion. What do we do if you're doing 2-3 hours and your hands are cold and wet? How do you possibly keep them warm? So my idea was like I have 2 pairs of gloves, maybe bring 2 pairs and try to swap them out mid race. I mean, not safe, but and then one more. Make sure that you are having cotton gloves. That's right. Having running gloves, cotton gloves, and then making sure you're wearing cotton underwear or SFI rated, which is what I do. Go ahead, Mental.
And if you are really into it, you can go to an Army surplus store and you can buy thin Nomex flight gloves, which would fit under most race gloves, and that'll still afford you additional layer of protection. Or if you guys, you 3 guys, I can't help all of our tens of listeners, but I probably got about 16 pairs of those kicking around my military stuff.
Chris was next.
Hand warmers, like when you go skiing, put them in the back of your glove, not the palm side, but the back side. Keeps blood, and that's where all your blood vessels are. So as blood goes by that, it goes up to your fingers with the hand warmer.
Love that idea. Yes, I wore nitrile gloves under my gloves. I was a desperate monkey that weekend because my hands were so freezing I couldn't keep it on. But I actually did put my little cotton watch gloves into my gear for use at future races. I do have a Nomex head sock I wanted to mention, but most of the time I wear cotton because the Nomex makes me itch very badly on my forehead. So I am definitely looking at, I almost bought a set of Carbon X full suit because Chris gave me a 15% discount code and I was going to try and use it. So
and not just your long underwear. Make sure your regular underwear is cotton too.
I do typically wear cotton boxers and a cotton t-shirt is usually what I wear under.
I have an SFI bra. It's a great idea.
Really? No, I had no idea.
I do.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, you're not checking the labels on Chrissy's underwear usually, unfortunately. That's it. We're good, Jeff. Roll us out.
Wait. No, I'm going to do one more thing. I was just reading the notes, and I totally forgot to mention the hilarious handwritten sign at the bar. Yeah. Chrissy put it in her notes. It was like, no firearms. And it was like written, I think, by a 12-year-old with like a magic marker. It was like some of the stuff was like the letters, some were capitalized and some weren't. I'm not sure it was spelled right. It was hilarious.
This whole thing sounds like a nightmare, but totally wasn't.
It was also not on a piece of paper. It was like a manila folder that was like ripped in half badly. Like I said, I've been to I am not afraid of sketchy places. That place was uber sketchy. Anyway,
folks, you have wasted another just over an hour of a commute listening to, the 3 of us. Like to mention next week.
4 of us. But,
is there only 4 of us?
Yes, quick.
Mental can't count that high.
No, next week we're going to skip. We're going to be 1 day late because next Wednesday, when we typically record, is Valentine's Day, and Jeff and I'd like to stay married. And also next week, tune back in because special guest, first ever guest of Everyone Racers is returning. Eric Root is going to come back and talk about the Lemons Rally and how it all worked out. So he's always a blast when he's on and amazingly patient. So
you have to.
And you got to do that with background music because I pushed play already. Chris, you were going to say something before I do my credits?
Nope. Go.
All right. Thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you joined us in the world of driving, racing, and building because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Tell your friends.
If you have any questions or want to give us some show ideas, drop us a comment on the Facebook, on the iTunes, or wherever you want to talk to us. If you'd like to help us produce the show, hashtag Extreme Experience already has xxspeed.com. Use the code Everyone Racers. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless, like us, there is no shiny side, then just keep the wheels down.